How's it going, everybody? It's me, Arctic, and in today's video we're going to be going over a tier list for weapons for Nahida. So what I'm going to be doing is putting all of the available catalyst options into a tier list ranging from the best category all the way down to the useless category. Now how I do my tier lists is I base them on how well they fit with Nahida's kit, and not necessarily how much DPS potential you can get out of each of these. I'm going to basically give the strengths and weaknesses of each of the weapons, but yeah, I do generally keep DPS possibilities in mind when I'm making these tier lists as well. But anyway, let's get going with the tier list. So first off, we have got the Emerald Orb. Now this one actually does have Elemental Mastery on it, and so it's quite interesting because it has Elemental Mastery on it. And then upon causing Vaporize, Electrocharge, Frozen, Bloom, or Hydro-Infused Swirl reaction, increases your attack by 20% for 12 seconds, but that's at R1. The nice thing about this weapon is that it does come with a good amount of bonus Elemental Mastery, and then it also has a good amount of attack that you can get from triggering like Bloom reactions or whatever you trigger with Nahida. And so I'm going to put Emerald Orb in the alternate category because alt is going to basically stand for all of the weapons that there are superior options or alternatives out there to what their main role is for her. And pretty much a prime example of that is going to be how Mapa Mare is kind of similar to this weapon in terms of boosting out your stuff when you do reactions, so that is why I'm going to put Mapa Mare up here in the best tier. Plus Mapa Mare is also an extremely good weapon if you are using her Nahida as a spread DPS, because I do think you still have to be on the field to get the elemental reaction triggering elemental damage bonus. However, it's still going to be very good. This weapon also does have a higher base attack than this Emerald Orb, so definitely it's outclassed by Mapa Mare, and they're pretty much the same level of easiness to get. Mapa Mare, all you have to do is like forge one of these and you're pretty much going to be set with a directly better option in my opinion. The Magic Guide is actually a pretty interesting option to consider as well, because this one also does have a Elemental Mastery main stat. It goes up to 187, which is a lot more than this other one that was up here with the Elemental Mastery. And then this one's passive is basically focused around attacking opponents affected by Hydro or Electro, so it could actually be pretty good in Hyperloom teams. This is definitely a pretty solid option, I could say. And so yeah, I am also going to put this in the alternate category just because it's really going to be outclassed by a lot of the 4-star options, but it's still a pretty good option just considering that it has Elemental Mastery for Nahida. Probably a good time to bring up the niche category, because the niche category is for stuff that really only has one purpose, and this honestly could fall in the niche category as well just because it has a Hydro and Electro kind of stipulation on part of its elemental skills and stuff to make it actually stand out a little bit more. But I am going to keep it up here in the alt category. These are, just to quickly rapid fire the rest of these, whatever this is called, Otherworldly Story, is useless. I'm just going to put it on there. It doesn't have very good stats whatsoever for Nahida. The 10 nephrite, this one actually comes with crit rate, and then it gives you a movement speed and attack bonus after defeating opponents. So I guess I'll put it in the niche category just because it's possible to use it. It's just that there's directly better options to use versus this weapon. Tales of Dragon Slayer also goes in the niche category. Like, it actually is going to be pretty valuable if you are just wanting to pop something on your Nahida early game. Just give like some extra HP, and also give that Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayer 48% attack buff. It is very strong early game. If not late game, if you just want to pop something niche on her, but really you're missing out on a lot of damage from a lot of the other weapons that you could choose on here. The Frostbearer Catalyst, I am going to put this up here in the average category just because you are going to be getting some damage off of this. It's alright, but it's not really going to be that great on Nahida just because it comes with like attack as its main stat. Plus, it's like AoE kind of icicle thing isn't necessarily the best, so I wouldn't really recommend using it. Now the Hakkyushin Ring, this one's actually quite an interesting choice because it is kind of a niche weapon as well, but you are going to be getting some good average stats on it. So I might actually put this in the niche category because what this does is it gives you elemental energy recharge, and then it also, after the equipped character triggers an electro-related elemental reaction, nearby party members gain a bonus to damage of that elemental type, and I think that goes up to 20% at the maximum refinement. So yeah, really this can kind of fit in that niche category. just by being like, oh, you have to use electric characters, oh, you have to use Nahida to actually trigger reactions with them. The good thing about this weapon is it's also able to be crafted from the Inazuma crafting station, so can be pretty good. I'm going to keep it here as like the best in slot for the niche category at the moment. So yeah, I'll just rearrange this stuff a little bit, and honestly I probably will toss this one down here in a niche, the Magic Guide, just because it's kind of stipulated on like party composition. So yeah, I'll put this in the niche category as well. And actually for Nahida specifically, I would bump this up to a little bit better than Hakkyushin Ring, just because you still get elemental mastery and like good damage bonus against Hydro and Electro affected party members, so it can be really good. The Oathsworn Eye, this one is also from an event, and so if you have one of these laying around, you could potentially use it. It increases your energy recharge by 24% for 10 seconds after using an elemental skill, and I think that goes up to a good amount. Actually, it goes up to 48% extra energy recharge after using elemental skill, which really isn't necessary on Nahida just because she doesn't really have that high of a burst cost. It's like 50, I think. So I wouldn't really recommend it as that great of a weapon. It does come with attack as its substat, so it's going to be in the average category. Like, it's literally just average. It's just a normal catalyst pretty much. Grimoire, this one I could actually probably put in this category of average, but I'm also going to put it in the alternate category because this one actually comes with a good amount of attack, plus you do get an increased crit rate when you're actually not critting on opponents, so this could actually be really good for her elemental skill, because if you run a Nahida build with a lot of like crit rates and a lot of elemental mastery rather, on Nahida, and this is the only weapon you really have or something like that, or you just want to run this weapon to get a little bit more attack and crit stats, this could be pretty good because her elemental skill is going to hit like multiple opponents, but for each one that it doesn't hit and crit, well, you're going to be getting that extra stack of crit rate, and so this will be like refreshing pretty fast in terms of how many times this effect is going to trigger, and it's a substantial amount, especially if you have this at high refinements. You're going to be critting a lot with her elemental skill, which is where most of her sub DPS comes from. But yeah, there definitely are better options than this weapon, that's why it's in the alternate category. The Eye Perception, this one comes with like attack, it does like a little chain kind of thing every so often, so really it's kind of falls in the same category as the Frostbearer. Frostbearer might actually be slightly better. Actually, let me rearrange this a little bit. Yeah, this is going to be rearranged over time as we keep going down. But yeah, like Prototype, this Eye of Perception really isn't going to be that great of a weapon on you. But oh boy, this next option is quite a juicy one to talk about, and I'm automatically going to put this up here in the best category. I'm actually going to put it higher than Mapa Mare, and for one specific reason. The reason being that with Widsith, you can get the highest possible amount of elemental mastery on Nahida. Really, it's kind of a little bit gimmicky because you do have 3 separate sets of buffs that you're going to have to rotate through, and then you're just going to have to get lucky and hit the elemental mastery one. However, the other 2 buffs are actually going to be pretty viable for Nahida as well. One of them gives you attack, which is going to be really good on Nahida, especially if you are running the rest as like elemental mastery. It is going to boost out a lot of your base stats and attack very well. And then it also has another theme song or whatever that gives you like elemental damage bonus, which is going to be very good on Nahida as well. That just gives you a flat amount of extra elemental damage bonus and scaling, so can be really good. But the elemental mastery is definitely, I think, the best one to get out of here, especially if you are popping around the field real quick and doing like a bunch of reactions with Nahida. It's gonna be great. Then also the weapon's just base stats are very good. It has like an average attack, average base attack, and then it also gets crit damage on its ascension, which is gonna be nice because Nahida does gain some extra crit rate from elemental mastery and her scaling like that, so definitely can round out your crit damage a little bit. Generally going for like a Nahida with roughly 100 crit damage is going to be how this turns out. Wine and Song Catalyst, this one is another one that's like energy recharge focused, but its passive also does give you some extra attack, and also when you're like sprinting. So when you hit an opponent with a normal attack, it decreases stamina consumption of sprint by 14%, and also gives you some extra attack. So this one kind of falls in the category of this other weapon, the Oathsworn Eye. However, I think Oathsworn Eye is just a little bit better because you get more consistency with the energy recharge that you're getting, as well as just the consistency of attack. Plus, you don't have to have it as high of refinements to get as much attack as you do with Oathsworn Eye. So yeah, just in the average category, but Oathsworn Eye is a little bit higher than this. Coral is a fun option to actually consider for Nahida. However, I think they are just better options, so it is going to be in the alt category. I am going to put it pretty high up here in the alt category, just because the reason why I would use this is because it does give you a lot of crit rate. You get like 27%, plus its passive isn't actually too terrible on Nahida. You still can trigger it. Sadly, Nahida doesn't do any elemental burst damage, so you're not going to be able to fully utilize the Solar Pearl's passive, but the Solar Pearl's passive basically increases your normal attack damage whenever you hit with an elemental skill or elemental burst, and then increases your elemental burst damage whenever you hit with like a normal attack. So it's quite good. You do actually get elemental skill damage as well when you hit with a normal attack, so it is pretty good. I actually have one of these at I think R5. I've just been chilling with it because yeah, it does have a lot of damage potential. You get like 50% extra damage bonus for your normal attacks, I think, or something like that, or it might be 40%. I forget exactly which it is, but it's definitely a pretty comparable weapon. I'm actually probably going to use this on Scaramouche if he's a Catalyst when I actually do get him. But generally, I think this weapon is going to be pretty good on Nahida. It's just not really centered around our kit too much, and so it's in the alt category. Dodo Coattails is another one of these weapons that I think is going to fall into the average category, just because it is still going to be a pretty good weapon overall. It does give you a good amount of attack, and then whenever you hit like no charge attacks, you get like more attack, I'm pretty sure. You get like extra charge attack damage, so it can be pretty interesting to run on like a spread Nahida, because yeah, you just get some extra like charge attack scaling if you are using Nahida as a main DPS. It's a comparable weapon, it's just overall pretty average. So I would put this pretty high up here in the average category. I think it's a little bit better than Oathsworn Eye, just saying that, just because it is a little bit more main DPS focused, and I feel like if you are running like Oathsworn Eye or these other weapons, you're trying to go for main DPS type stuff anyway. Prototype Amber is honestly a pretty niche option. Basically because all of its passive, all you're using with its passive is for extra healing, and since we don't really have a Dendro healer, you can possibly pop one of these onto Nahida and get a little bit of healing whenever you cast your Elemental Burst, which you are going to be casting your Elemental Burst pretty often, considering that, yeah, you want to have that up pretty much constantly. And so, yeah, you can get a good amount of healing off of this. It's just very niche because you don't really get too much healing off of this until R5. And then even then, it's not really that much, but as long as we don't have like a Dendro healer, this could potentially be an alright option to use. If you really just want a Dendro healer with Nahida, something like that. The next weapon on my list is Sacrificial Fragments, and this one is going to be quite a good weapon to use on Nahida. Basically, it comes with a lot of elemental mastery, so it is already very good on Nahida. You are trading out a higher base attack for more elemental mastery, but I think that's going to be fine. The passive on this is also very nice because it does reset her elemental skill cooldown, which is not really too big of a cooldown, but you can get a little bit more DPS from that. It's quite well for her kit, it is a pretty good option. However, I still think that more of these options up here in the best category, like Mapa Mare and Widsith, are going to be a little bit better overall if you can get a hold of one of those. But I think Sacrificial Fragments is going to be very high up here on the alternate category. Fulfillment Catalyst is kind of an interesting option because it does come with energy recharge as its substat, and then the passive on it basically gives you the wax and wane effect, which after an elemental reaction is triggered, you gain like 24 elemental mastery at R1, but you do end up losing attack, which is going to be kind of a big downside considering that you are going to need as much attack on Nahida as you can get with like substats and whatnot, and this is basically just counteracting the already low attack percent that you are going to have on Nahida anyway. So really, it's kind of a yikes option in my opinion. Really, it's not that great on Nahida for that reason. I'm going to actually put this down here in the average category. It does come with Elemental Mastery as a substat on its passive, but really, I don't think it's going to be that great on her, just because you are losing out on a lot of stats, but I guess I'll give it a high average category. The Blackliff Agate. Now this one is actually a pretty interesting option because if you are running Nahida as a main DPS, you are going to be defeating enemies quite often, and even as a sub DPS, she's still going to be able to get like the last hit on some enemies occasionally, because her elemental skill does actually have a good amount of damage, so you probably are going to be able to cleaver some enemies to death with this. The passive basically gives you some extra attack whenever you defeat enemies, and you can get actually like 3 stacks of this, so at high refinements it's going to be very, very good, basically taking care of all of your attack percent needs, as well as giving you a lot of crit damage with its base stats, so really an overall pretty good weapon. I am actually going to put this up here in the best in slot category, just because there's not really anything below it that is just going to be making it could be considered an ult. It's really, now we are going to get into the 5-star options, and this is where a lot of them are going to pick up in terms of filling out our best in slot categories, but some of these are still going to be like alternate choices, just in my opinion. So first, I just want to go ahead and toss the Everlasting Moonglow, or whatever this weapon's called, down here into the useless category, if not the most useless of them all. It really isn't going to be that great on Nahida whatsoever. The HP percent on its substat is useless, and then you get like healing bonus, and then you get normal attack damage is increased by 1% of your maximum HP, so like it's basically useless. It's not really going to give you that crazy of damage, even if you are trying to go for the meme build of having a lot of HP and like a lot of normal attack damage. So yeah, it's just useless. The Memery of Duzt Catalyst, this one's actually a pretty interesting option. I would actually toss it in terms of damage up here in like the best category, because you do get a lot of attack off of this, and if you are running here with like a Zhongli or something like that, with Nahida being the on-field main DPS with like a Raiden Shogun or another lecture character going for like spread DPS Nahida with like an Archon team, that kind of thing, this could actually be a pretty good option to use. However, I am going to put this down here in a pretty high niche category, just considering that what its main purpose is using like it with like shielding characters. So the Skyward Atlas, this one is going to be pretty good for overall DPS. As a 5-star, it is automatically going to be like pretty good. And so I am actually going to put this up here in the best category, just slightly above Prototype Agate right here. And the reason behind me putting it up here in the best category is because it is going to be slightly better than Prototype Agate, I think, at like lower refinements. This one gives you like a little amount of attack. It has a very high base attack, so if you are running a lot of attack percent on Nahida, it could actually be pretty good. Then it gives you like extra elemental damage bonus, and normal hits have these little Cloud Seeker things, which are going to be pretty good in terms of DPS. Another great choice is going to be Lost Prayer to the Sacred Winds, and this one is going to be very good on crit rates. So basically, it's going to be your direct replacement to Solar Pearl, and so I'm going to put this up here in the best category as well. Not necessarily above these Elemental Mastery scaling ones, just because Elemental Mastery is still better for Nahida. But this one does give you some extra movement speed and extra elemental damage bonus, which is passive, which is going to be very good. I think it's actually going to be slightly better than these other two options, just considering that crit rate is going to be very nice on Nahida, because she does have a lot of damage instances, as well as getting that extra elemental damage bonus. This is going to be a flat amount of damage you're getting. Here is Verty. This one is a pretty interesting option, because it is reliant on your elemental skill and how many times it actually hits. So basically, when you use an elemental skill, which she has a pretty short cooldown on this, on her elemental skill, so you can get up to the 3 stacks of this, but you get some extra elemental skill damage as well as elemental damage bonus when you get to the 3 stacks. And this also comes with crit damage as a substat, so it is quite good. And I'm actually going to put this in terms of overall damage pretty high up here, but I'm going to leave it below these other two options because they're elemental mastery focused ones. Then last but not least, I have got a placeholder right here, and this placeholder is for 1,000 Floating Dreams, which is basically Nahida's best in slot catalyst. This one comes with like elemental mastery. Other party members other than the equipping character will provide an equipping character with buffs based on their elemental type. So basically, if their elemental types are the same, it increases elemental mastery by 32 at R1, and if not, the character's damage bonus is increased by 10%. So definitely very, very good. And all nearby party members have their elemental mastery increased by 40 points as well. So very, very good. Definitely best in slot because it fits her kit perfectly and is going to be very, very good on her overall. Once again, this tier list is not really based on overall DPS possibility, it's more so based on how well it fits with their kits. And yes, we do have a good amount of best in slot options right here that you can choose from. Really, these 3 right here are the best in slots 5 stars other than her signature. So yeah, I would definitely try to get a hold of one of these or use one of these if you have it. It's not going to be too far behind in terms of, I think, damage versus her best in slot. Her best in slot is just slightly better, I guess, overall for team buffing and also like her kit specifically. But anyway, that is going to be it for my tier list for Nahida's weapons. Let me know if you liked it down in the comments section below. And also remember to subscribe. I am trying to get to 12,000 subscribers, so it would really help me out a lot. If we can make it to 15,000 subscribers before the year is out, that would be just insane. Because it's already October and we've only got like 2-3 months left. But I think if we get Scaramouche stuff, we might actually be able to push 13 or even 15,000 depending on how great you guys like the videos and share them. Also remember, I do have a membership series, which is basically just you get archived live streams pretty much, because I do end up archiving a lot of my live streams, and I do make a few perks and that kind of things. You also get access to my emotes, which are pretty fun. I make them pretty custom made. They're more so inside jokes, a few of them are, but a lot of them are just general channel emotes. But yeah, anyway, I've got a few perks, so make sure you guys check that out. Hey, it's been me, Arctic. We'll see you all in the next one. Farewell.